So let's begin. I'm really excited about this session. I'm really excited to be able to bring all of us together here as a community. Um, we are going to start with the blessing for study, and then we're going to turn things right over to Rabbi Mali Karp to talk about the Megillah for Sukkot, the scroll for this holiday of Sukkot, which is the scroll of Kohelet, which we all know from the Byrds song, "To Everything There Is a Season." So let me first invite you to join me in the blessing for study. If you'd like to unmute, you can do so now. And we'll say this blessing together so that we can hear one another's voices. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai
Adonai,
Eloheinu melech
no melech
haolam
ha'olam,
asher
asher
kiddushanu
kiddushanu
b'mitzvotav
b'mitzvotav,
v'tzivanu la'asok divrei Torah. Blessed is the Eternal, whose mitzvot, whose commandments bring us holiness, and who commands us to immerse, to engage in words of Torah. One more technical note I forgot about, which is that I do encourage you, if you feel comfortable, to have your camera on so that we can see each other. You don't have to, but we are working to create a community here, and so if you feel comfortable being seen, please turn your camera on. We are recording, but our recording, which will be on YouTube later, will only be posted in speaker mode. So you will only be seen if you actually speak on the recording, which means if you're comfortable doing so, please do turn on your camera. And now I get to introduce Rabbi Mali Karp. Rabbi Mali Karp is a deep listener, a skilled counselor, and a pluralistic rabbi passionate about teaching Torah, Hebrew, and many other facets of Judaism. Rabbi Karp holds a master's degree in Jewish education from Hebrew Union College in New York and a bachelor's in Judaic studies. She spent 10 years in doctoral studies in Hebrew Bible at the Jewish Theological Seminary and was later ordained as a rabbi at the Academy for Jewish Religion in Riverdale, New York. You've got almost all the denominations covered there, Rabbi Karp.
Almost. Oh, wait, I did 12 years of Orthodox day school.
There you go. You've covered the gamut. Rabbi Karp offers an extensive catalog of online courses in Bible, Jewish studies, and Hebrew language courses for adult learners, including lay people, ordained Jewish clergy, and rabbinic and cantorial students in her organization, which is called SAGE, Senior Adult Jewish Education, a community of learners. Her training in mindfulness practice and Jewish spirituality is at the heart of her work. And in case you're interested, I'm just going to drop her website into the chat so that you can learn more. And as I'm doing so, I'll turn things over to Rabbi Mali Karp.
Hello, good afternoon. Moadim l'simcha, as we say. I'm happy to see some familiar faces. Carrie, it's nice to actually see your face for the time.
Hi, good to see you too.
And I'm happy to meet those of you that I have not yet met. So let me start. I sent an optional article for you to read. There won't be a test. If you didn't read it, I'm not calling your mother. It's just there in case you felt like it. Okay. I think, as Rabbi Streifer suggested, it's good if you raise your hand, so you know there's this little electronic hand raising thing. You can do that. If you go down to react, it allows you to choose the hand raise thing, because it's not actually physically possible for us to speak more than one at a time. So if you want to speak, raise your hand and one of us will notice that you've done that. Are there questions so far? I have made my email address my name, so if you want to reach me afterwards with follow-up questions or whatever, this is where you can find me. So only a very few words of introduction. Kohelet Ecclesiastes is assigned by the rabbis to be the liturgical Bible reading for Sukkot. So one question that I'm going to put out there, and we're going to just let that hang till the end, is why? Why is this the reading for Sukkot? The second thing I want to say is although this is presented by the book itself and by our tradition as having been written by King Solomon, it was not. I hope that didn't totally burst your bubble, but this book is much more likely originating from the Persian period, not from the early monarchy, the beginning of the monarchy. Questions about that? Okay, so Bob, I see you shaking your head. You didn't want to say anything?
No questions. I want to hear some stuff.
Okay. Anne, thank you for raising your hand.
I do have a question. In one of these study books by Skylight, that's written by Rabbi Rami Shapiro,
I love Rami
that
Shapiro.
he claims that Ecclesiastes was written 400 years after Solomon, and therefore
more than 400 years, maybe 5.
Wow.
Right. So Persian period, we don't have an exact date. Carol, hi. Thank you for raising your hand.
I just wanted to tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed your handout. I found
great.
it very interesting reading, and I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you. That website is Orthodox people who subscribe to modern contemporary biblical scholarship. It is a wonderful, wonderful website. If you haven't met it before, it is totally worth perusing and surfing around there. They have some wonderful materials. The handout came in an email. Vicki, if you write to me or to Rabbi Streifer, we'll send it to you. Any other questions or comments before we begin? Okay. So the way I like to work is I ask a volunteer to read. We read a little bit. If I have a question or something to say, or you have a question, we stop and we discuss. This is an interactive session. This is not going to be me lecturing for an hour. Not a thing that I do. Everybody good? Okay. So the first thing I will tell you, you know what? I guess it would be good to put the text up on the screen, wouldn't it? The first thing I will tell you is most translations of the biblical text are woefully inadequate. What's on the screen right now is the new, what we call the new JPS translation. It is woefully unfaithful to the text. And if you really want to be a serious student of our Bible, I always suggest the Robert Alter translation of the Bible. He works hard to be very faithful to the Hebrew, and when he's not, he tells you why. So I want to say that. Any questions about that? So we're now so many people that I can't actually see everybody who's here. So it will be very important to use the hand raising thing if you want to turn to speak. Are we good? Any questions so far? Okay, do we have a volunteer who'd like to read? Don't be shy. Eve, are you raising your hand? No. I'm not going to call on you. Okay, I'll start us off and hopefully someone else will take a turn also. Anne, thank you. Your mic is off.
Okay, the words of Kohelet, son of David, king in Jerusalem.
So the word Kohelet is from the Hebrew word kahal. It has something to do with somebody who assembles people or creates a kahal, a community. It is a pseudonym. It is a sacred fiction. Go ahead, Anne.
Utter futility, said Kohelet. Utter futility. All is futile.
So The word being translated here, futility, is hevel. It is the name of Cain's brother, Abel. It is the name of Cain's brother who is murdered in the opening chapters of Genesis. It means breath or vapor. Its sense is something that is entirely ephemeral. Everything is ephemeral. Nothing lasts. Are there questions?
Does it also mean chaos?
No, does not mean chaos.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Ann.
What real value is there for a man in all the gains he maketh beneath the sun?
Okay, does this sound depressive to you? Right? Like, why am I even bothering? What's the point? It's all ephemeral. Okay, go ahead, Ann.
One generation goes, another comes, but the earth remains the same forever.
So what is ephemeral and what is eternal? That's not rhetorical. What is ephemeral and what is eternal? Carol?
The earth is eternal.
The earth is eternal. Creation is eternal. We are ephemeral.
Right.
Right. Questions or comments? Okay.
I have a quick comment, and it's okay.
The sun rises and
Hold on. Rabbi Streifer?
Oh, that's okay. Anne can go first. Oh no, Anne was going to read. Let me just say, I think it's really interesting that the word Hevel is the same as the name of Adam and Eve's son, because what's ephemeral here is humanity, right? So in the same way that Adam means human, while Hevel sort of means human also.
And he is the human being who exists for, 3 verses of the biblical text, and then he's gone. And the rest of us descend from Cain, who killed him. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, Anne, why don't you go on?
the sun rises and the sun sets and glides back and forth to where it rises. Southward blowing, turning northward, ever turning blows the wind. On its rounds, the wind returns.
So I want to just notice this word return. This word is related to the word tshuva, repentance. When we do tshuva, when we return, we are returning to God's instructions. We are returning to our higher selves. So there is this sense of return linked to the days of awe that have just gone by. Questions? But notice the unending cycle of the way the world operates, the way the work of creation functions. Okay, go ahead, Ann.
All the streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place from which they flow, the streams flow back again.
So notice the repetition, which the Byrds and Bob Dylan picked up on, right?
All such things are wearisome. No man can ever state them. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear enough of hearing.
So we love seeing the work of creation, hearing the birds chirping outside. We can't seem to get our fill of that. And this is the author speaking. He is never sated. Questions? Okay.
Only that shall happen which has happened. Only that shall occur which has occurred. There is nothing new beneath the sun.
So do you take this as positive or negative?
It's pretty negative.
Bob thinks it's positive. Anne thinks it's negative. Why?
Well, no matter what you do, things are just going to keep on happening again and again.
Yes, and we don't have the opportunity. This is like when my children were in high school and they discovered rock and roll. Like, oh, you have to hear this thing. It's so great. Oh, and it was Janis Joplin. Bob, and then Carol.
I think it's positive because it gives reassurance that the sun will come up tomorrow. And going
The
to
sun
another musical,
tomorrow. Okay, I'll stop.
that's a positive.
That's a positive. Yes. And the fear that the sun would one day not rise is embedded in virtually all ancient cultures and is probably the origin of Hanukkah. Carol?
What I find somewhat depressing is there is nothing new beneath the sun.
We'd like there to be something new.
Yes, I mean, things change. Hopefully things change for the better sometimes. Often they change for the worse, but things do change. And this seems to be denying change.
And clearly, Kohelet was never present for the birth of a child. Well,
Very
Rabbi?
point.
Rabbi?
So, counterpoint to Carol, I think it's comforting that there's nothing new under the sun. No matter what life can throw at us, somebody has dealt with it before. The rise of an authoritarian leader, a child going through difficulties. Somebody has, you're never alone because somebody has dealt with whatever it is that you're dealing with.
Right. Nice. Thank you. Bob?
I still go with the positive aspect in line with what Rav Micah said, that it is a comforting thing that there's nothing new beneath the sun, but we have to discover it. If that weren't the case, then the people who are winning Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry and so on would not be winning them. Thank goodness the things that they discovered years ago have been in place forever. Nobody knew it until they figured it out, and they hopefully are going to remain in place until they get to Stockholm to get their prizes.
So everything that would ever exist already is in existence, but maybe we haven't discovered it yet. Nice. Any other comments? Okay. Go ahead, Ann.
Sometimes there is a phenomenon of which they say, look, this one is new. It has occurred long since in ages that went by before us. The earlier ones are not remembered, so too those will occur later. We will no more be remembered than those that will occur at the very end.
I find this part sad, but it's true, right? Other than the memory of my parents and grandparents that I knew who came before me, I have no personal firsthand experience of my great. I didn't know those people. So maybe there are some stories about them that were told in my family, but 100 years from now, there will be no one alive who knew me. And there is some sadness to that, I think. Thoughts? Okay, then let's go on.
I, Kohelet, was king in Jerusalem over Israel. I set my mind to study and to probe with wisdom all that happens under the sun, and an unhappy business, that which God gave men to be concerned with.
So I want to just point out that Kohelet belongs to the genre of wisdom material literature, which in our Bible also includes Job and Proverbs. But throughout the ancient Near East, there was wisdom material, right? This is the material that attempts to answer the question, wait, I'll sing, what's it all about? Alfie, you have to be old enough. Sorry, these are old people references. Right? Questions that seek to ask about the meaning of life, which, of course, there is no way to. How do I know I have found the absolute scientifically correct answer? I can't. I can only discover what is the meaning of life for me, or what is the meaning of life for my tradition. Rabbi?
And it also, I hope I'm not talking too much. You can tell me if I am. But it also, it's a tradition of learning about the world by looking at the world versus learning about it through revelation. It does talk about what God gave us, but really it's talking here about our senses, how we can experience the world through our rational faculty and our ability to observe the world around us.
Right. And I will add, he's not saying this, but the other thing we have to do, and you'll like this, is that we have to examine ourselves. Right? It's not just what is the world about, it's what is the world about and what am I about in relation to the world? Because what is the world about? Unless you're a scientist, there is not one objective truthful answer to that question. So what am I about and what is my place in all of this? What am I here for? Anybody? So he doesn't sound very happy, this guy, does he? I want to point out, translating as man is actually ha'adam, the human. The word Adam, I like to translate as earthling. It's gender neutral. Questions or comments? Okay, let's go on. And when you've had enough, you'll tell me.
I observed all the happenings beneath the sun, and I have found that all is futile and pursuit of wind.
So biblical literature has this form where they say the same thing in two different ways. This is one of them. Because all is futile is that word hevel again, vapor. So everything is vapor and pursuing wind. Ruach in the Bible is not spirit. It is wind or it is breath. It's not, the Bible doesn't have an idea that there is a soul independent of our corporeal existence. There are breathing bodies and there are not breathing bodies. Everybody good? Okay, go ahead, Ann.
A twisted thing that cannot be made straight, a lack that cannot be made good.
This is really depressing. I think he sounds like a really depressed person. I don't think he's going to end up there, but right now he just feels very dark to me.
I said to myself, here I have grown richer and wiser than any that ruled before me over Jerusalem, and my mind has zealously absorbed wisdom and learning.
So in the Hebrew, it says, I said, I spoke with my heart. That is how the Bible says, I said to myself. So more wealth and more wisdom than any that have ruled before me over Jerusalem. Yet.
And so I set my mind to apprise wisdom and to apprise madness and folly. And I learned that this too was pursuit of wind.
So he's still struggling. He is struggling to learn what it is that is worth pursuing. What can we hold on to? Questions?
He doesn't ever talk about doing good.
No, he does not. He also doesn't talk about doing mitzvot. Yes. Yes. So I guess that means, Anne, you were listening to my sermon.
as wisdom grows, vexation grows. To increase learning is to increase heartache.
So this is the opposite of ignorance is bliss. The more you know, the more unhappy you're going to be. And he's the wisest person, so therefore he must be the most unhappy, in his own words. Thoughts? Questions? Okay.
I said to myself, come, I will treat you to merriment. Taste mirth. That too I found was futile.
So I want to say something about this. Okay, the word that's translated here as merriment is simcha, joy. Judaism highly values joy. We must have half a dozen words for joy. Simcha, chemda, right? We have all of these words for gila, rina, ditza, chedva. We have all of these words for joy and happiness. He doesn't seem like a very happy person. This is not mirth. Record? The Bible doesn't have a word for fun. The rabbis didn't like fun. They looked down on fun. They called it kalut rosh, levity. And so in contemporary Israel, when Israelis want a word for fun, they go to the Arabic and they borrow the word kaif, because Arabic has a word for fun, Hebrew does not. Tells you something about us, right?
Of revelry, I said, it's mad. Of merriment, what good is that?
I want to point out, here it is again, simcha. What is the primary commandment of Sukkot? It is the only holiday that commands us to feel a specific thing.
Joy.
Joy. Thank you, Carol. The mitzvah, the major mitzvah of Sukkot is you should be ach sameach. You should just be happy. Kohelet didn't seem to have gotten the memo. Yes, Bob?
At Purim, when we get so drunk that we can't tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys, that's not happiness?
They don't use the word fun. They don't use the word fun. Nowhere in the Purim corpus do we get the word fun. Good point, though. Yes. We're not actually supposed to have fun on Purim. We're supposed to have revenge fantasy. Anne, did you want to say something?
This man is totally jaded. He's seen everything and done everything, and therefore he thinks he's had it.
Right. I do think we will get to a point where he reveals really what he's thinking and feeling, but you're right. We didn't get there yet. It just sounds like a misery. Like you read this and you just think Nebuch. Okay.
I ventured to tempt my flesh with wine and to grasp folly, while letting my mind direct with wisdom, to the end that I might learn which of the two was better for men, to practice in their few days of life under heaven.
So should I pursue foolishness or should I pursue wisdom? Which one is better if I only get relatively a few days? Which one is better? Should I be wise or should I be an idiot?
I multiply my possessions. I built myself houses and I planted vineyards.
So he tries pursuing the philosophy of whoever dies with the most toys wins.
I laid out gardens and groves in which I planted every kind of fruit tree. I constructed pools of water, enough to irrigate a forest, shooting up with trees. I bought male and female slaves. I acquired stewards, and I acquired more cattle, both herds and flocks, than all who were before me in Jerusalem. I amassed silver and gold and treasures of kings and provinces, and I got myself male and female singers, as well as the luxuries of common authors and coffers of them.
Questions? Aviva, yes, hi.
I guess he needs to drink a little more of Bob's wine or in order to write turn, turn, turn and have some female or male singers.
And yet we all know people
What's going on?
we all know people who drink and become entirely morose.
Just a minute ago.
Sorry, I don't know who's speaking. Yes, Aviva, he hasn't quite figured it out yet. Yes.
But he's doing everything that God told him not to do. So maybe you get what you deserve.
God does not tell us not to enjoy physical pleasures.
No, but he told him not to have slaves and not to gather wealth.
No, where does God tell him that?
In the Torah.
No, God does not tell him that. No.
I think if I can break in, I think Anne's referring to the law of the king, right? God specifically says that the king should not have those things.
Right. So that is actually a Deuteronomic reflection, looking back at Solomon, who did everything to excess, and the biblical editors really didn't like that. But I will say this: Judaism is an embodied practice, and we are an embodied practice. I think it is only living in a body that you can enjoy the physical pleasures that God gave us. You can't drink wine or enjoy a romantic partner if you don't have a body. So actually, Judaism values physical pleasures, not to excess. But, and you're right that later the biblical editors criticize Solomon. That is true. But the average person doesn't say that. Any other questions or comments? Bob, you look like you're really enjoying yourself. Okay.
Thus I gain more wealth. Oh,
Skipping, and I'm going to skip. I'm just mindful of my time. Okay, let's take a look at this verse.
Then my thoughts turned to all the fortune my hands had built up, to the wealth I had acquired and won. And oh, it was all futile and pursuit of wind. There was no real value under the sun.
Because it's ephemeral. Because I can have all of the wealth and all of the servants and all of the wine and all of the women in song, and I can have all of the wisdom. I can have all of it. But at the end, I'm going to die and I can't take it with me. It is all entirely ephemeral. So what's the point? All right, I'm skipping. I'm going to go to chapter 3. The chapter you all know. Somebody once said to me, who wrote the Byrds song, Turn, Turn, Turn? And I said, God. Because for sure Bob Dylan didn't write the lyrics. Okay, go ahead, Ann.
A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven. A time for being born and a time for dying.
Hold on a second. This is not a time for being born. This is a time to be born, to give birth. Sorry. Time to give birth and a time to die. You see these little footnotes? These are JPS's explanations of why they're not translating correctly. All right, I can't. Oh, yes, thank you. Literally giving birth. Okay. Go ahead, Ann.
Time for planting and a time for uprooting the planted. A time for slaying and a time for healing. A time for tearing down and a time for building up. A time for weeping and a time for laughing. A time for wailing and a time for dancing. A time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones. A time for embracing and a time for shunning embraces. A time for seeking and a time for losing.
Hold on, we have two hands up. Let's pause. Bob and then Aviva.
Maybe I'm too focused on these Nobel Prizes, but after all, Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his poetry, and maybe he was a prophet. And maybe he is transmitting these words of God.
Okay. Maybe. Aviva? Your mic is off. Aviva, your mic is off.
I was under the impression Bob Dylan dipped into a little bit of your wine as well, Bob. Or a little bit of something else.
A little bit of something else, I'm sure.
And who is the JPS?
It's the Jewish Publication Society. All I'm going to say about this translation, and the one who understands will understand. Thank you. The JPS translation is a translation done by a committee. Do I have to say more? Anybody ever attend a committee meeting? When I was a student, this translation was published when I was a Bible student at JTS, and we used to refer to this translation as the novel because it entirely fails to honestly represent what the Hebrew is saying. Does that help you, Aviva?
I guess so. We read the Plout commentary.
The Plout is also the JPS, not any better.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so what I'm going to say is this: unless you have access to the Hebrew yourself, you are relying on somebody's editorial decisions about what the Hebrew words actually mean, and I'm telling you, this is a terrible translation. The best translation I've seen is Robert Alter, and a also really interesting good translation is Everett Fox. But this translation is essentially a paraphrase.
Richard
And
Elliott.
it's say again, Ann?
Richard Elliott.
Friedman?
Yeah.
He does, yeah, but he has a different agenda. You're right. Richard Elliott Friedman is a great scholar, but his agenda is slightly different. Shall we go on? Okay, I'll give you one example. In the David stories, there is a phrase in the biblical text that says Kol mashtin bakir, which is translated by JPS as all males. Except what it means is everyone who pees against the wall. Why would the translators rob you of that? It's beautiful, rich language. So, okay, rant over. Questions? Go ahead, Ann.
A time for ripping and a time for sewing. A time for silence and a time for speaking. A time for loving and a time for hating. a time for war, and a time for peace.
Questions? Okay, go ahead.
What value then can the man of affairs get from what he earns?
So this sounds like, does it sound to you like the time for this and the time for that is already appointed? Or is it for our judgment? I think what he's saying is that if the time for everything has already been appointed, then why should I even bother? Which is in keeping with what he's been saying so far. He's looking for a reason. Why should he bother? Carol?
It doesn't look like he's making much room for free choice.
No, it does not. He will, but you're right. Here he does not. Yes. Go ahead, Ann.
I have observed the business that God gave man to be concerned with. He brings everything to pass precisely at its time. He also puts eternity in their mind, but without man ever guessing, from the first to the last, all the things that God brings to pass.
So we can't know what God is doing behind the scenes. Think about eternity, but we have no way of understanding that or what it means or what happens to us later. Questions? So he's still in the why should I bother phase, I think. Rabbi?
I think that the why should I bother phase maybe is prompted by the I feel powerless phase. To follow up on what you were saying before, if there's a time to be born and a time to die and I have no control, then what we really feel is weak, powerless. And then the question arises, why should I bother? Which is, of course, the question of the text. And I don't think it's an empty question, but I think the point he's making is that we feel weak and powerless in this world, so we have to find some kind of agency for ourselves.
It stands in, yes, and it stands in direct opposition to the Deuteronomic school, which is follow God's instructions and all good things will happen to you, and fail to follow God's instructions and all bad things will happen to you. And it contradicts what we just read on Yom Kippur, who shall live and who shall die, right? We have no control over that. It contradicts what we read on Yom Kippur from the Torah, which is, I set before you life and death, blessing and curse, choose life. He doesn't seem to acknowledge that we have those choices. Yes. So he is, in a sense, arguing with much of the biblical corpus. And it's a miracle they even let him into the book, but we'll talk about that at the end. Questions? You're laughing, but you do know that there were folks who at the end decided who would be in the book and who would be out of the book. Talk about the book of life. It's a whole different take on it. Right? So, for example, the rabbis hated the book of Esther. So how did they make the book of Esther acceptable and fit to be included in our Bible? They said, because the people loved Esther and they couldn't just throw it out, they said, she only ate vegetarian food in the palace, and she never had sex with Ahasuerus. And once they went and made it kosher, then they could include Esther in the book. But they didn't love Esther. Okay. Any other questions for now? Okay. Pay close attention. Go ahead, Ann.
Thus I realize the only worthwhile thing that there is for them is to enjoy themselves and do what is good in their lifetime.
Boom. Be here now. Enjoy what you have now. And here's your no mention of doing good, Anne. The Hebrew is to do good in his lifetime. Here it is. Enjoy what you've got and do good.
There goes everyone's inheritance.
There goes everyone's inheritance. Well, he talks about that too. But the point being, if I'm going to die anyway and I can't take any of it with me, I should enjoy what I have now and I should do good now. Because now is all there is. This is surprisingly Zen for the Bible. But it is, I think, very Zen. Questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to skip some more. Well, let's read one more. Go ahead, Anne.
Also, that whatever a man does eat and drink and get enjoyment out of, all is well. It is a gift from God, of
So
God.
everything we have, God has given us. And we should enjoy it. There's actually a story in the Talmud that says, when you get to heaven, when you die and go to heaven and appear before the heavenly court, you're going to have to explain why you deprived yourself of things God gave you to enjoy. Right. So we don't really have a strong support for asceticism in our tradition. If God puts things on earth for you to enjoy, you should enjoy them. Comments? Questions? Okay. I want to scroll because I'm mindful of the time. Carrie.
In regard to what we were just talking about, so don't save the good china and the silver for a good occasion. Use it every day.
Use the good china every day. Wear your nice lingerie every day. Yes. Don't save it for another day because there might not be another day.
Use it now.
Use it now. Enjoy it now. Eat the cheesecake now. Yes, it's a rule. I said so. Our tradition says so. Okay, let's keep going. Anne?
Since that is his portion, but who can enable him to see what will happen afterward?
Okay. I'm skipping because I'm watching the time.
Okay.
I want to go to the point where he makes his point. I like this one. Go ahead, Anne.
Be not over eager to go to the house of God. More acceptable is obedience than the offering of fools, for they know nothing but to do wrong.
Don't hurry to go to the temple. Do God's will.
Keep your mouth from being rash, and let not your throat be quick to bring forth speech before God. For God is in heaven, and you are on earth, and that is why your words should be few.
The rabbis say little and do much. The value of guarding our speech becomes a musar value, right? Think about what you're saying. I'm scrolling. This is a long book. One verse.
This message comes from Wealthfront. It's time you...
Go ahead, Anne. One verse.
Another grave evil is this: he must depart just as he came. As he came of his mother's womb, so he must depart at last, naked as he came. He can take nothing of his wealth to carry with him.
So, you can't take it with you. Whatever you accumulate in this life, you cannot take it with you. You come into the world naked and you go out of the world naked. Questions or comments? Okay, we're going to go to chapter 9, where he finally gets to the point. I apologize for all this scrolling. It's one thing about the technology that's not great. Are there thoughts while I'm scrolling? Is anybody unhappy about this book? Anybody love this book so far?
I used to.
You used to. Did I ruin it for you? Yes?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
But-
like him because he's subversive. I like him because he disagrees with the other parts of the Bible that I don't always love myself.
Right. So here's the thing is that as a pluralist, I will say our Bible is multivocal. Some final editor allowed multiple voices to enter this book, representing different ideas, different theologies. Somebody let that happen. It is in our Bible that 6 Jews, 12 opinions is born, and I love that. Iris?
I love this book. This book has been where I have been in my life for a while now. Within the last couple of weeks, I'm a Gentile. I've recently made the decision to convert, and where I had that revelation was at the mouth of the Columbia River, which is one of the biggest places where the exchange of the sea and the river take place, and where the sun sets and rise, or doesn't rise, but I see the sun sets. And so, and it's new to me because I'm only been here a year. And so this is my jam.
I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that. Columbia River, South Carolina, Columbia? No.
The Columbia River, between Washington and Oregon.
Got it. So you're on the West Coast.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Here's the part where I think he really says what he finally gets to it. Go ahead, Ann.
Go, eat your bread in gladness and drink your wine in joy, for your action was long ago approved by God.
God gave you wine and bread to enjoy. God wants you to enjoy them.
Let your clothes always be freshly washed and your head never lack ointment. Enjoy happiness with a woman you love all the fleeting days of life that have been granted to you under the sun, all your fleeting days. For that alone you can get out of life and out of the means you acquire under the sun.
In other words, be here now. Be happy now. Enjoy love. Enjoy wine and enjoy good meals. Go ahead, Ann.
Whatever there is in your power to do, do with all your might, for there is no action, no reasoning, no learning, no wisdom in Sheol, where you are going.
Sheol is the place under the surface of the earth where people go when they die. It is a place of silence and stillness. When we die, we will have nothing of these earthly pleasures. Enjoy them now. Questions? Go ahead.
The race is not won by the swift. Oh, I have further observed under the sun that the race is not won by the swift,
Sorry.
nor the battle by the valiant, nor is bread won by the wise, nor wealth by the intelligent. no favor by the learned, for the time of mischance comes to all.
Okay, I'm going to scroll again. I'm going to go to chapter 11. Are there comments or questions? If you have not read this whole book cover to cover, it is worth reading. And I have a little regret that we're skipping so much, but go ahead, Ann.
Send your bread forth upon the waters, or after
Hold
many
hold on, Carol.
I just wanted to say I've never had an opportunity to study this text with anybody before. And even though you can't do all of it, I can absolutely guarantee you I will read all of it, most probably for the first time in my life.
Great.
And I've been studying for a long time, but this is new to me.
You know, we read the Megillot, we just read them in shul and we don't ever stop to talk about them. And they're worth talking about. They are interesting books, some of them a little strange. Yes. Okay, go ahead, Ann.
Send your bread forth upon the waters, for after many days you will find it. Distribute portions to 7 or even 8, for you cannot know what misfortune may occur on earth.
So don't hoard what you have. Share it with others. Hold on, I'm skipping. The point is, here it is. Go ahead, Ann. Hold on.
Sow your seed in the morning and don't hold back your hand in the evening, since you don't know what is going to succeed, the one or the other, or if they are both equally good.
So I want to pause. Enjoy what God has given you to enjoy. Don't save the good china. Make every effort you can make in this life. Share what you have with others because disaster could come 5 minutes from now. I can live by this. So, 2 questions. Why is this what we read for Sukkot? Why is this the Sukkot reading? Because on Sukkot, we are commanded to be only joyful. And he is telling us to be joyful in the here and now. Be happy with what you have. See it as a gift from God. Enjoy it with fullness. Live your life with a good partner. And be happy. And recognize that all that we have is God's bounty to us. Sukkot is the celebration of the third and final of pilgrimage harvest festivals in ancient Israel. It is so important to holiday that it doesn't even have a name. It's simply Hechad, the festival. When we are commanded to be Ach Sameach, only happy, just be happy. Which I know for Jewish people is sometimes a challenge. We're not always very good at that. Second question, are there comments? How do the rabbis make this book kosher for themselves? How do the biblical editors make it so this book can be part of the corpus? It's the very last thing in the book. At the very end of the book. A further word. Go ahead, Ann.
A further word, because Kohelet was a sage. He continued to instruct the people. He listened to and tested the soundness of many maxims. Kohelet sought to discover useful sayings and recorded genuinely truthful sayings. The sayings.
Hold on, I'm skipping. Here it is.
The sum of the matter, when all is said and done, revere God and observe his commandments, for this applies to all mankind.
Does Kohelet say anything like that?
No.
No. So it's always good to notice when a book turns from first person to third person. So now you get the editorial voice coming to say, forget about all of that, just do the mitzvot. That's how the editors and the canonizers allow this book to be in the corpus. They make it suit their own narrative. Questions?
What does Kohelet actually mean? Does it mean preacher?
It means one who assembles. Rabbi, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a question. We're out of our time, but my question is,
Yeah.
the people aren't stupid. We know that Kohelet just said something for 12 books and then said something else in the last line. Does whoever added this last line think that we don't know that?
Yes. Yes, they do. The editorial voice in our Bible constantly thinks we don't know that. And people who read the Bible without source theory, without critical interpretation, they don't know that. That's why you have to come to classes, so that we can tell you what's what.
That's an excellent plug for coming back to class.
Yes. So I don't want to suggest that you should not do mitzvot. That is not what I'm saying. Mitzvot obviously have huge value for their own sake, and that's a different conversation. But that is not what Kohelet is saying. Last comments or questions? So let me say this. Thank you. First of all, thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Streifer, and thanks for all of you for coming to play with me. If you would like to do more of this kind of text study, please come and find me. I'm Rabbi Molly Karp at Gmail. And I will be happy to hear from you. And I've loved getting to meet those of you who I haven't met before. And I hope, Iris, good luck on your journey. I hope you have good guides.
Let me say a huge thank you to Rabbi Karp for this really interesting line-by-line study of Kohelet. This is exactly what we're supposed to be studying on Sukkot, on this beautiful holiday where, as Rachel pointed out, we sit in our ephemeral huts, we be in nature, we try our very best to be present in the moment. So I would invite all of you over the course of this week of Sukkot, which goes until the middle of next week, so you've got more days of it, to really try to do what Kohelet says and find our meaning in the here and now, in this world, in appreciating and enjoying, and also in doing good. Again, thanks to Rabbi Molly Karp. Thanks to all of you for being here. For those who are interested in further study, you can reach Rabbi Karp at her email, as well as you can reach me through La Asok to talk about our upcoming study groups, which are starting the week after next. Now, I've dropped my email into the chat. I would be thrilled to study or to talk with all of you about it. And I wish you all a Chag Sameach, a happy Sukkot. Let's all go and be Ach Sameach. Let's all go and find things to be happy about, and also areas where we need to try to make the world a little better. Thank you, everyone.